I didn't like school in high school. It took me 4 years to finish 3 years of high school because I was never there. And when I was young, in high school, the big thing to do was every weekend we'd get drunk and we'd go rumble the Cubans. And we lived in Miami, and that was the thing, you know. And I had 7 counts of assault and battery, and a 3-year sentence to Rayford, which was suspended. And I had to go in the service, and I went in the Marines for 4 years. I saw a lot of things happening and being done by guys, and it got to be like a game. Like the object was to see who could kill the most people. And the different ways you could prove how many people you killed would be like cutting off ears. Now, if you brought back someone's ears, you know, pretty likely you had to kill them to get them. And then people would, you know, whoever had the most ears, they would get the most beers, and you'd trade your ears for beers. And it got to be like a game. It was just I was on probation, and then I got in another fight. So they were gonna, you know, just pull the rug out from under me. And my lawyer told the judge that it would be better if I went in the service, and they'd fix me up. If I went in jail, I'd be bad to society when I came out. I think one of the main things was I wanted to see for myself whether I was really a man or not. And I figured that's how I could find out. And like people were trying to save me, you know, and they'd say, you know, you'll really find God overseas, you know. When you really need him, you'll find him. And I wanted to see what kind of a person I really was. Was I really brave? Was I a chicken? And I believed in the war, and I believed, you know, the best thing a person could do was give his life for his country. So I went in the Marine Corps, and I got to Paris Island, and they really changed my head around. I was, if I thought I could have escaped, I would have. They broke 2 of my teeth, because I didn't conform as quickly as I was supposed to. We were supposed to run 3 miles before each meal and 3 miles after each meal with full packs. And I just couldn't see throwing up my meal, you know. And in boot camp, you're not allowed to talk without permission. And for instance, if I wanted to go to the bathroom, I would say, "Sir, Private Camille requests permission to speak, sir." And he'd say, "What do you want, turd?" And I'd say, "Sir, Private Camille requests permission to make a head call, sir." And he'd say, "Is it an emergency?" And I'd say, "Yes, sir." And then he had alternatives what he could do. He could say, "Okay, go around the room 3 times with your siren to prove it's an emergency." And you'd have to run around the room going, "Arr!" And if you didn't do it fast, you know, loud enough, then it wasn't really an emergency. Or else he could say, "Okay, we'll wait 1 hour, and if you don't go, then you lie to me, and then I'm going to kick your ass." So, like, you had a choice of either pissing your pants or getting your ass kicked. And, like, you know, things that normally didn't happen to you. It's kind of bad for your head. And if I would have gotten out of there, I would have. So, the day we were running, I didn't run, I just started walking. And if the man in front of you falls down, you have to run him over. If you go around him, you get beat up. Because if he knows you're going to run him over, he won't fall down. So I just stepped out to the side and let them all run past me. And started walking. And they said, "Run," you know. He says, he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Private Camille, sir." He says, "You better start running." I says, "I'm tired." And he says, "Get up in the barn, you're going to be sorry." I said, "I'm already sorry." So I went up there, and they called where we lived the barn. And they were going to send me to motivation platoon. That's where they, that makes boot camp seem like Sunday school. So then they said, "Okay, we'll handle it in the closet motivation." So I went in the closet, and the 2 of them came in. They said, "About face," and I turned around, and 2 fists hit me. And I didn't even fight back. I said, "Okay, you know, I give up, I'll run." So when I got done, like the last day in boot camp, they said, "Now you've earned the name Marines, now you're men," you know. And I was really gung-ho. And I was ready to sign up for 50 years, you know, because I thought the worst part was over. And then I went to Vietnam. In my 3rd week in Vietnam, I was standing guard on an artillery base, and there were 16 of us on guard, 4 in each corner of the base. And our grenades were taped up, so if the pins came out by accident, the spoons wouldn't fly and no one would get hurt. And our rifles weren't allowed to be loaded, and the rules were we couldn't load without permission and we couldn't fire without permission. And if you saw something, you'd call the sergeant of the guard in the guard shack. Well, the sergeant of the guard walked around and checked to make sure people weren't sleeping. And when he was going around, the gooks got him. So then when the people saw the gooks inside the fence, they asked for permission and there was no one there and they didn't fire. So they just wiped us out. And my post was the only post they didn't take. They took the other 3 posts. And as soon as I saw them, like, I wasn't going to ask anybody. We just started shooting. And we had stacked up 40 bodies inside the perimeter, inside the fence. And we had 28 men wounded, 5 men killed, and 5 105 howitzers, those are big artillery guns, destroyed by this suicide thing. And I wrote my congressman and asked him how come we couldn't have our weapons loaded and how come we needed permission to fire and things like that. And a few people in my outfit got relief.
Was that the first time that you killed
That was
anyone?
the first time I killed anyone. And the next morning, I went and I looked at my 5 friends that were dead. And I pulled the sheets off of them and I looked at them real close. And then I said, this is really real. Someone wants to really kill me. And, if I make one mistake, I don't get another chance. So I can't make any mistakes. And that's what I said. And I decided at that point that I would kill anyone I could, knowing whether they were innocent or not, just to make sure I wouldn't get killed. And that was my philosophy. Like, if I'd go into a village and have to kill 100 people just to make sure there was no one there to shoot me when I walked out, that's what I did. And that's what I did when I was there. Like, the emotional thing, you see your buddy get killed, and it's really emotional. Someone you're really good friends with. Like, one minute he's telling you, well, I got a letter from my girl, and I'm really happy, and I can't wait to see her. And she's going to send me some pictures she's taken. And then you go out, and he gets shot in the head. And, it was really hard for you to realize that, 5 minutes ago he was your friend, and now he's dead. And you put him on the helicopter and just make believe he went home. You try not to think that he was killed. And then you say, well, I'm going to get the gooks for it. And you just take it out on all the gooks. And it got to be where it was like someone would say, okay, you come stay on my farm, and you can go hunting every day for free, and I'll give you all the ammo you want. And you can hunt, and there's no limit. And you can all go out together and just hunt, and that's what it was, like a hunting trip. And the more people we killed, the happier our officers were. And when it came time to go home, I was very close to my friends, and I got where I knew what I was doing, like I was like an expert. And you have to learn to read maps and know the area. And I got where I knew where I was without looking at the maps, and I could call in artillery just by knowing where I was. And I wrote my mother a letter, and I told her, I said, I'm not coming home in April because I really believe what we're doing is right. And that's what I wrote, and that's what was put in the newspaper. And they had a big article, we need more Americans like this. And this is something else I'd really like to write about. Medals, medals are a bunch of shit. Every time I thought I deserved one, no one ever said anything. And when I didn't think I deserved some, I got one, And it was like one time I picked up a grenade that was thrown at us, and I threw it back, and they thought I was really brave. But it was because that was the easiest thing to do. Like, I wasn't going to fall on it and save anybody's life, because I wasn't that brave or stupid or whatever. And I wasn't going to, you can't stand there and look at it, and you can't run from it because you can't get away from it. And the only chance I figured I had would be to pick it up and throw it away. And they thought I was doing something brave, and I got put up for a medal, but I was doing the most cowardice thing. And another time I got a medal. These gooks came out in front of us, and I was with the infantry. But the infantry had to work together. I could move on my own because I was a forward observer. So we were eating, we didn't have our boots or clothes on, just our pants. And I slipped into my boots, and I grabbed my ammo and my rifle, and I didn't get on my helmet or flak jacket or anything. I went after them, and I got 5 of them. So I got a medal for it. But I was running after them, I was chasing them. They never stopped and turned around and fired at me. I didn't risk my life or anything. And they thought it was really brave. And they yelled at me for going out there and doing that, because a forward observer's not supposed to give away his position. But it was really fun. It wasn't anything brave at all. I got 5 commies, man. Wow, now I'm really happy. Wait till my parents hear this. Then that night, we were on a Scorpion. That's where 4 or 5 guys go out, and they just hide. And when the enemy come by, you open fire, and then you run. Another time, I had a friend of mine killed, and I was very upset. And I asked this Vietnamese for his ID card, and he said, "Come Viet," and that means I don't understand in Vietnamese. And it just pissed me off, so I pulled out my knife and I killed him. And it didn't bother me at all. I just called in, I said, "1 VC killed." And they said, "How do you know he's a VC?" And I said, "Because he's dead." And they laughed and said, "Okay." And I'd come in and people would ask me what's going on out in the front, and I'd tell them. And they keep it short for how many kills you have. And I'd come in and they'd show me how many I have. And what it is, every time you kill someone, you have to report it. And you have to search them for papers and stuff. But this is something else, body count. If 10 of us would go out, and I'd come back with only 5 men, we'd lost half our men. And you couldn't say that you didn't see any enemy. So you could have only killed one enemy, and by the time it would get up to the high command, you know, you killed 50 of them, because they couldn't say that they lost 5 men taking 1. So the body count's a bunch of shit. You know, what they say and what they get is different things. Like, you'd read the newspaper, on Operation Medina, 200 of us went out and about 47 of us made it back. And they just ambushed us and whacked the hell out of us. And I didn't see any gooks, man. They were sitting in the trees dropping grenades on us, and they had machine guns on the front and the side. And the newspaper said we had all these kills, you know. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I never saw any kills. But they just didn't like to admit that all those men got killed for nothing. And another thing is the competition between units. Besides competition between men to kill the most, there's competition between squads and between companies and battalions to see who can kill the most. So like, if the newspaper said Charlie Company got 200 kills and we didn't get any, we weren't going to say anything, man. We wanted them to think we're bad guys, man. And we thought we were so tough, we went around with aces of spades in our helmets. And every time we'd kill someone, we'd put it in their face. So if anyone else came, they knew that Charlie Company did it, you know.